8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj, read by Soundithavam. The government reduced the price of consumer goods for the festive season. Minister Ali Sabri to attend the Global Security Conference in Munich. Japan grants 2.8 billion rupees to install solar power generation systems in Sri Lankan hospitals. Sri Lanka and India forge partnership for economic prosperity through capacity building initiative. The Committee on Education discusses amendments to be made in the draft National Education Policy Framework. The ADB has come forward to provide $8 million for the development of agriculture and livestock in the Mahaweli zone. News overseas. The number of babies born in Japan last year expected to hit record low. In sports, Afghanistan were bowled out for 266 in the third and final ODI against Sri Lanka. The Minister of Agriculture and Plantation Industries, Mahinda Amravira, said that the cabinet led by President Ranil Wickremesinghe discussed reducing the prices of all essential consumer goods and to provide relief to the public before the upcoming Sinhala and Hindu New Year celebrations. A discussion was held today at the Ministry of Agriculture regarding limiting the import of used coconut oil imported into Sri Lanka and improving the quality of local coconut oil products. The Minister of Agriculture and Plantation Industry, Mahinda Amravira, and other officials of the Coconut Development Authority and the Coconut Development Board participated in this discussion. The coconut oil produced in our country is of high quality, but a large amount of imported coconut oil is used and disposed of in other countries. Officials in charge of coconut-related product industries pointed out that consumers have to face various health issues by consuming this. Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi made a request to foreign donors to extend support to develop the agriculture and livestock sectors in the Mahaweli zone. Accordingly, the Asian Development Bank has given a positive response to this request. The ADB agreed to provide $8 million for the development of agriculture and livestock sectors in the zone. The minister made these comments at a discussion held recently at the Irrigation Ministry. The Foreign Affairs Minister Ali Sabri has been invited to attend the 60th edition of the prestigious Munich Security Conference MSC in Germany from February 16th to the 18th. Founded in 1963, the MSC stands as one of the world's premier platforms for deliberating international security policies. Its objective is to build trust and contributing to the peaceful resolution of conflicts by fostering continuous, curated and informal dialogues within the international security community. The lawmaker is slated to address the conference session on protecting global commons on Saturday, the 17th, the Foreign Affairs Ministry said in a statement. During the visit, Minister Sabri will engage in meetings with his counterparts from a number of countries, parliamentarians and business leaders as well. The government of Japan on Wednesday provided a grant of 1,250 million Japanese yen, approximately 2.8 billion rupees, for a project aiming to use renewable energy to stabilize power supply in Sri Lankan hospitals. Accordingly, the relevant grant assistance was provided by the Japanese government to install rooftop photovoltaic solar power generation systems at selected hospitals in Sri Lanka. According to the Department of External Resources, the rooftop photovoltaic solar power generation systems will be installed at the Sri Javardhapura General Hospital, the Ratnapura Teaching Hospital and the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital under this project. In addition, photovoltaic modules and accessories, power conditioners and accessories, power cables and terminals, fire detectors and other related renovations and related services will also be provided, the department said in a statement. As such, the exchange of notes and the grant agreement pertaining to the relevant grant was signed at the Ministry of Finance by the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies, K.M. Mahinda Sirivardana, on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka, while the Ambassador of Japan in Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hideki, signed the exchange of notes on behalf of the Government of Japan, and the President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, Tanaka Akihito, signed the grant agreement on behalf of JICA. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
A comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you.
A high-level Sri Lankan delegation has embarked on an official visit to India to gain insight into the neighbour's recent initiatives for transforming its public service qualitatively and implementing policy improvements successfully. During their stay from the 12th to the 17th of February, the 14-member delegation, led by the Prime Minister's Secretary Anura Dissanayake, will seek to prioritise capacity development in the Sri Lankan government institutions, contributing to the nation's economic growth. The President's Media Division said the delegates are expected to engage in extensive discussions with Indian institutions. The programme, scheduled to be conducted at India's National Centre for Good Governance, will cover various aspects such as digitalisation, capacity development, anti-corruption measures and investment facilitation. They will also meet with key Indian officials, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of State for Personnel, and the Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister to explore avenues for further collaboration. This capacity-building initiative marks a significant step towards realising the shared goals of economic prosperity and sustainable development between Sri Lanka and India, the PMD added, noting that it reflects the commitment of both nations to harnessing their collective potential for mutual benefit and regional stability. The Sectoral Oversight Committee on Education further discussed regarding the amendments to be made in the draft National Education Policy Framework 2023 to 2033. The draft related to the National Education Policy Framework, which was recently presented to the Parliament, was discussed for the second day at the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Education. This was discussed at the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Education held recently in Parliament under the chairmanship of Honourable Dr. V. Radhakrishnan. The discussion regarding the draft of the National Education Policy Framework was also held when this committee met on the 7th of December, and the current discussions was held as an extension of it. Professor Arjuna Parakrama and Dr. M. Vehela, academics in the field of education, were named as experts affiliated to this Sectoral Oversight Committee. That concludes Local News.
Elevate your life with People's Bank Excelsior. A comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
The State Minister for Investment Promotion, Dilum Amanugama, has spearheaded efforts to welcome high-net-worth Japanese investors to the Bingiria investment zone, signalling a new era of economic cooperation between Sri Lanka and Japan. Following the President's successful visit to Japan, where bilateral investment opportunities were explored, Minister Amanugama has directed officials of the Sri Lanka Board of Investment to expedite the development of the second and third phases of the Bingiria investment zone. This move aims to accommodate the growing interest of Japanese investors eager to contribute to Sri Lanka's economic growth story. During a recent progress review meeting held at the Bingiria Export Processing Zone, Minister Amanugama emphasized the need to provide seamless facilities and to support Japanese investors on their arrival in Sri Lanka. The meeting saw the participation of key stakeholders, including the Minister of Investment Promotion Secretary M.M. Naimuddin, the Director General of the Sri Lanka Board of Investment Renuka Veerakun, and representatives from various government departments responsible for infrastructure development, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight, Education Minister Susil Premajant has confirmed that the results of the 2023 GCE Advanced Level Examination will be released prior to the commencement of the 2023 GCE Ordinary Level Examination. In a recent statement, Minister Premajant disclosed that the evaluation process for the 2023 GCE Advanced Level answer scripts is progressing steadily and is anticipated to conclude by the end of February. That came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Making headlines tonight, the number of babies born in Japan last year hit record low. Biden slams Trump for making shameful comment about NATO. And South Africa files urgent request with the ICJ over Israeli ground offensive in Rafah. A private research firm predicts that the number of babies born in Japan last year is the lowest since the government began keeping record in 1899. The Japan Research Institute estimated the annual figure based on the number of births between January and September 2023 disclosed by the Health Ministry. Its estimate of 726,000 is down some 40,000 or 5.8% from 2022. US President Joe Biden has lashed out at former President Donald Trump for making a controversial comment about NATO. He has also stressed that his country's commitment to the alliance is steadfast. On Saturday, Trump revealed that while he was in office, he said the United States might not protect its NATO allies from a potential Russian attack if they did not pay their fair share of the defense expenditures. Biden said at a news conference on Tuesday that the former president had sent a dangerous and shockingly un-American signal to the world. South Africa said on Tuesday that it had asked the International Court of Justice to consider whether Israel's plan to extend its offensive into Rafah required additional emergency measures to safeguard the rights of Palestinians. The move came amid mounting concerns within the international community over Israel's plan to extend ground operations into Hamas's southernmost stronghold. More than 1 million people are taking shelter in Rafah. Back to the headlines of the world news. The number of babies born in Japan last year expected to hit record low. Biden slams Trump for making shameful comment about NATO. And South Africa files urgent request with ICJ over Israeli ground offensive in Rafah. That concludes this bulletin of world news, and on to development news. Greenpeace launched its South Asia regional office in Colombo with the arrival of the iconic ship Rainbow Warrior, marking the beginning of the highly anticipated People for Climate Greenpeace Indian Ocean Ship Tour 2024. The opening ceremony, which is held on board the Rainbow Warrior, set the stage for an inspiring journey focused on collective action, demanding accountability and resilience in the South Asian region. That came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Afghanistan again exposed its weakness of the middle order collapse, being all out for 266th after being well placed at 223 for 4 at one stage. Afghanistan won the toss and elected to bat first in the third and final one-day match against Sri Lanka. The match is being played at the Pallekele International Cricket Grounds as a day and night encounter. Initially, the Afghans had a good start and partnerships were going well at one stage. But the Sri Lankan bowlers had different ideas, and eventually the Sri Lankan bowlers bowled them out for 266 in 48 overs. In reply, Sri Lanka were 208 for 1 wicket after 28 overs a short while ago. That came to you in sports news.
Go ekakthiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න. The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Sri Lanka Association for Software and Services Companies, SLBC, has launched FitHit 2024, a 2-month wellness program aimed at fostering a healthier and more balanced workforce, emphasizing physical and mental well-being among Sri Lankans' IT BPM professionals. The need for wellness in tech, the FitHit 2024, arises from the realization that many professionals in the IT sector spend prolonged hours in front of computers, leading to significant health concerns. The sedentary nature of desk jobs, coupled with the extended periods of inactivity, prompted SLBC to take proactive measures. That came to you in business news. Economic news up next.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakthiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න. The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news, Sri Lanka attracted 84,211 tourist arrivals from February 1st to the 11th, once again showing signs of heading towards another healthy month of arrivals. In the month of January 2024, Sri Lanka saw 208,253 arrivals, showing a huge 103.1% increase over January 2023. February 2023 arrivals of 107,639. With several charters operating, Russia was the number one source destination for Sri Lanka, while India with 11,568 tourists, and the United Kingdom 8,038 was second, and third was China with 6,521, beat Germany to the fourth place 5,843, and France was in the sixth place with 4,257 arrivals. That's economic news.
Weather report.
The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the eastern and Uva provinces, also in the Polonnaruwa, Matale and Nuwara districts. Thunder showers or showers may occur at a few places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces, also in the Galle and Matara districts after 2 p.m. Fairly strong winds, about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in the eastern slopes of the central hills, also in the northern, north-central, northwestern, Uva and eastern provinces, and also in the Hamatara district. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The government reduced the price of consumer goods for the festive season. Minister Ali Sabri to attend the Global Security Conference in Munich. Japan grants 2.8 billion rupees to install solar power generation systems in Sri Lankan hospitals. Sri Lanka and India forge partnership for economic prosperity through capacity building initiative. The Committee on Education discusses about amendments to be made in the draft National Education Policy Framework. The ADB has come forward to provide $8 million for the development of agriculture and livestock in the Mahaveli zone. The number of babies born in Japan last year hit record low. And Afghanistan were bowled out for 266 in the third and final ODI against Sri Lanka. On that note, we conclude tonight's news broadcast, and now it's back to your host, Romesh, who I see is all geared up to take you on an enchanting journey down Love Lane. Well, it's a very happy Valentine's Day to one and all tuned in, and also to you, Romesh, and it's all yours.
Thank you, Saunti, for those complimentary words, and I wish you the same, and have yourself a wonderful evening, and have a safe journey back home. You're tuned to Radio Sri Lanka, and the time is coming up to 9 and it's time for Family Choice.